When I was growing up, was there anything specific that you noticed I was interested in engineering or sciences specifically? Was that the earliest point?
Yes. Yeah, I knew that you had a passion for trying to find out how things work. And aerospace engineering, computer coding, it's all about finding out how things work and making them work better.
Today I'm going to be asking you 12 questions about my childhood, my upbringing, like how you raised me. I didn't tell you any question beforehand because I just want you to answer this as authentically as possible. I'll ask follow-up if need be, but this should be just a casual conversation and I don't want you to feel any sort of nerves or anything. Yeah, so we can get right into it. The first question that I have for you is, are you surprised with the person that I've become today?
Not really. I'm not really surprised at what you've become because I saw at an early age, like 7, 8, 9 years old, that you had some type of gift. But I couldn't figure out exactly what it was until you started entering high school and middle school. Because I never knew what your main interest or focus was for yourself.
Yeah, but what were you noticing?
I noticed that you were very intuitive about learning different things, understanding how things work, the processes of how things work, and stuff like that.
Yeah, that makes a lot of sense. Was there any point while I was growing up where you thought that I was on the wrong path?
I can't think of any point specifically that I thought you might have been on the wrong track. When you say on the wrong track, are you talking personally or
just anything, I guess? It doesn't matter.
Academically or I can't think of anything that I can pull off the top of my head that I felt that you were like doing wrong or not going about it in the right way or right procedure.
So everything made sense at the time, I guess?
Yes, everything made good sense. I thought that you were on the right road to where you wanted to go. I didn't know exactly where it would take you, but I knew you were on the right road.
Okay. So out of the things that I've done or accomplished in my life, what are the top things that you're most proud of?
The top things that I'm most proud of for you, that you took an interest in athletics, because I felt like as kids or as growing up, there should be a social outlet where kids can understand how to communicate, socialize with other people. And I felt that sports or athletics, some type of athletic game that you could get into would allow you to do that. You would be more open to talking to people, approaching people, and things like that.
How early did you expose me to that?
Actually, it started after kindergarten, after first grade, second grade. Felt that you were ready to get into some type of organized sports. And me, myself, have always been interested in the sport of basketball. And I thought that you, as you got older, would have the potential and the skills to play that sport. So I invested time and funds to get you into certain organized basketball.
And I think it worked out pretty well, I guess.
Yeah.
But outside of sports, how about academically, career-wise? Is there anything that stands out to you?
Well, I knew that you were technically inclined at an early age because one day I brought home some electronic equipment from one of my tenants that rented a unit in Las Vegas. He had left some electronic equipment in a box. So I brought the box home because some of the devices in the box I didn't really understand what they were for. And one day I brought them into your room and you looked at them and you started telling me, you know, this is an iPhone, this is an Android phone, and this is a charger for the phone, this is the plugs that plug into the charger. And then at that point I knew that I had to make sure that you got the updated devices so you can keep up with technology, because at that time technology was changing so rapidly. And as for me, with what I was doing, I couldn't keep up with all the new changes. But I felt that you could do that because
in that box there was iPhone 2G, so that was the first generation of iPhone ever released. So that was back in probably 2007, 2008. And at that time, that phone was also like locked. I think it had a damaged earpiece. And so part of me was just also just getting it to work so that I can have an iPhone and say that I had an iPhone.
Yeah, what happened was at the time you asked me if you could keep that phone and use it or work with it or whatever. And I said, fine, I had no problem with that. But one day you called me on that phone and I answered it, and it was you. And I knew that you did not have a personal phone for yourself. At that time, I think you were like 11 or 12 years old. So right away, I think I confronted you about that. And the next year, I think we got you a legitimate phone because you told me that you had jailbroke the phone and got it to work again. I didn't want you to have to do that again. I wanted you to have your own personal devices legally that you could use to do, what you needed to do technically.
Yeah, I mean, at the time we didn't take the phone, so it was something that we found. It was there, but it was locked. It was carrier locked, so I had to get into it to be able to use it. And so I ended up jailbreaking it and making sure that it worked with our SIM cards and everything. But yeah, that was a good experience.
Yes.
So what would you say was the most difficult part of raising me?
The most difficult part for me was when you started to get older and graduate from school, your senior year, and then going into college. For me, the hardest things I felt that you needed to, or we needed to talk about was social skills, dealing with females and relationships. You know, that's what gave me the most worry as far as you were concerned. Because I wanted you to be able to understand and choose the right people that are compatible with you and where you were headed and where you were going. I didn't want you to hook up with someone that did not understand your goals and where you wanted to do what you wanted to do with your life.
Yeah, that makes sense. Because I think Whitney, the high school I went to, was very sheltered. Everybody was just focused on going to school. No one really talked much outside of my basketball team.
Right.
And so college was a different thing. But then I ended up going to MIT, which was kind of the Whitney version of universities also. So.
Well, that's why basketball, volleyball, football, I'm trying to name sports that have more than two people participating in it, because that's when you learn what teamwork is all about. Because when you get into the field or when you start to working with other people, you have the advantage of knowing how to approach people, how to work as a team, because you learn that on the basketball court, on the volleyball court, because you had to deal with more than just one or two people at a time. Sometimes you guys would make a huddle and say, hey, this is what we're gonna do. And that's what life is all about. You make a huddle and discuss things, and as a family you decide what you want to do. That's what family is for. It takes a village to raise a child.
I think I was fortunate and I guess dedicated and skilled enough to be captain on most of these teams, so I had to deal with the people that didn't play, the people that were playing but maybe they weren't doing too good.
Well, sometimes as a coach you can pick out one or two people on your team who the other players kind of look up to or listen to, okay? And those are the type of people you want to make as captain of your team, because there's certain things that a coach can tell you to do, but if your teammate tells you to do it, sometimes it comes out better or different, and you perform better. Mm-hmm. So you had some good coaches in your life, and I'm kind of proud of that.
So shifting gears to, I guess, aerospace engineering. How did you feel when I started showing interest in the aerospace engineering field specifically? Were you surprised?
I wasn't really surprised. I knew that you had the skills to go into that field. I kind of started out in that field, working at Hughes Aircraft, building F-15 radar systems, things like that. And my dad worked at Boeing, Rockwell. He built the nose cone section of the space shuttle. So I was very much involved in technical aerospace type of engineering work when I was your age. So that's probably one of the reasons I got into computers and aerospace.
When I was growing up, was there anything specific that you noticed? I guess we can go to the iPhone example for when you thought I was interested in engineering or sciences specifically. Was that the earliest point?
Yes. Mm-hmm.
And just me tinkering with that?
Yes. Yeah, I knew that you had a passion for trying to find out how things work. And aerospace, engineering, computer, coding, it's all about finding out how things work and making them work better.
So you're not surprised at all, I guess, with those fields?
No, I'm not surprised. And plus, I saw that you enjoyed doing those type of things, because when someone has a passion for a certain field, they usually do well at it.
So what were some of the specific challenges that you faced, if any, raising me throughout the years?
I can't really think of any major challenges that me and your mom had. Sometimes it was financial reasons for some of the decisions that we had to make for you, because you were our first child, and we were kind of really starting to establish ourselves as young adults, and financially we were not quite there yet, but we knew that we had to spend some monetary things on you to get you going, to get you started. And that's was one of our main goals of moving to Cerritos and actually buying a house there so that you and your brother could attend better school systems, because we actually researched in Southern California the best school districts as far as academics were concerned.
Yeah, and Whitney at that point is always the top public school in the country sometimes for some lists. Mm-hmm. But you had to be in the school district, and so that's why you're talking about that house.
Yes.
And also you have to test in. And so we did this third grade. We moved. I was able to get into the elementary school in the district, and then by sixth grade,
Gonzalez,
I guess I did well. Yeah, I did well enough to get accepted and invited to go to Whitney. And so I guess everything worked out.
Yeah, because we weren't really sure if you, after going to the middle school in Gonzalez, we weren't really sure that you would qualify to go to Whitney, until your last 2 or 3 years in middle school. We understood that you had a very good opportunity of going to that school. And it worked out. It worked out really well. I'm glad we made that decision. And I'm glad we actually had the means in order to do that.
Yeah, I think it really worked out.
Yes.
So now I want to talk about your predictions. What were your dreams for me when I was growing up, if you had any, and did they shift while I was growing up? It actually shifted when you graduated from MIT. I felt like you could be CEO of any company that you wanted to
start or any project you worked on, you could actually lead other people and show them how to do things properly.
But at that time, I started at Stanford, so I started grad school right after.
Right, but you did some things your senior year at MIT with Deuce Drones that really woke me up to where your full potential was. And I felt your full potential was to actually run your own company and create jobs for other people, especially minority people.
So how do you think our family dynamic shaped the way that I navigated life?
I don't think anyone can navigate through life efficiently unless they have a strong background family support system, because it's very difficult to do things on your own, make decisions on your own. Actually, life was not put together for you to be on your own. And once you understand that, you have a very strong commitment to family, to your, cousins, your brothers, your uncles, your moms, your dads. These are the people who are very concerned about you achieving your goals. Some of the people in my background, some of my friends I had, they didn't have two parents. They didn't have the opportunities that I had, and that's why I thank my dad for the things that he did for me to put me in the position to make sure that the next generation will be better than this one.
Yeah, I think family is really important because they're just linked to you regardless. They could be a bad relationship at that point, but they're still family, so hopefully they still stick around, they still support you and everything through anything.
And the thing with family is they always tell you the truth, or they try to tell you the truth. They don't hide things from you, and that's very important to really know how your other family members feel about certain things that you do.
What do you think is the most important trait or skill that I've developed in my life?
I think your most important trait is your ability to organize and plan things, or organize and analyze situations, organize and analyze what might happen, having a plan A and a plan B if things don't go the way you want them to go. I think you had that ability a long time ago. I just didn't see it until you graduated from college, really. But I saw it when you were working at Deuce Drones, where you and your friend Timmy could have done 100 times more than what you did with the other 5 people that were in that company. Because if it was just you and Timmy, you guys could have took this thing a long way, because you wouldn't have had any barriers, you wouldn't have had any conflicts. You would have been able to make the decisions of where the company needed to go, not where they wanted to go or where they wanted to take the company to, because it was a wide open market at that time.
Yeah, with the analyzing, I guess, different situations and plan A's and plan B's and C's, I think that's always been my mechanism for just not being too stressed about a situation.
Exactly.
So I can go into a situation and I already know the worst case scenario. If I'm okay with the worst case scenario, there's nothing to be stressed about.
Exactly.
If I know what I'm going to do, if this goes wrong or that goes wrong, there's nothing to be stressed about. And so I can just navigate almost just nerve-free, because
you have to understand that analyzing and having a plan is just another word for control. Okay? Because if you have control, there is no worry, you see? Because you're controlling if plan A doesn't work. You're controlling if plan B doesn't work. And if you understand that, there's no stress. Your job is really easy. The hardest part of your job is to making sure your employees understand that because those are the people that are going to get stressed out. Because if they see you stressed, that's when the company usually fails.
That, I think, it's permeated through every aspect of my life. I think when I got sick and then mom came over the first time, she flew immediately, she took a red eye, and then I was there. I felt like I could fight anything and I was going to be okay. But then her, or like me watching her see me go through it, hurt more than whatever they were doing to me at the time.
Yes.
And so that's why when the second time I went into the hospital, I just said stay home, because I didn't want her to have to see it again.
Well, you go back to the other question, that was one of the most stressful times of my life, when I saw you going through that, okay? And I knew that when your mom got there, I was praying that she could, just hold herself together. And I told her before she left, I said, look, you cannot walk into that room feeling like things are not gonna be okay. You gotta walk into that room and say, hey, you can make, this is done, just do what you have to do to get through this, and that's what I prayed about when she told me she was gonna go. I had to stay here because of business things, and
and Jason was here too.
And Jason was here too, so I wanted to be there, but God told me if me and your mom walked into that room together and things didn't go right, it would affect you a lot. And I didn't know how strong your immune system was at that time. And so I figured if she's there, you can see her, you can see the concern. She told you that, we were praying for you. And all I can say is God is good. He told me that everything was going to be all right. That's why I didn't stress on it so much. And the point of talking to my dad and being with him, we've been through situations like this with other people in our family, and I just knew how to deal with it.
When I got sick, I think it just gave me a different perspective, to not stress the little things, to not worry about the day-to-day minutia of things, because life is a lot more fragile than people think, and a lot shorter than people think, and then people are going through really just trying to get the next thing, but they're not really worried about the stuff that they're missing in the meantime. And I think now I have that perspective and life experience to be able to share with other people.
Yeah, this is why I was so happy when you came to us and you said, well, I think I want to start a YouTube channel. And at that point, I knew that if you started it, that it would grow. I knew that. I knew if you started it, I didn't even care what you were reviewing or what. I knew that if you started it, it would grow. But I think the main purpose of the Lord giving you this YouTube channel is so that you can help other people who are confused out there and they don't know what to do with their lives. And now you have the ability to do that. With this new business that you're starting.
The mentorship program.
The mentorship program, Those people you're talking to, you used to be there, okay? So the information and the advice that you're giving them, you're growing their brains, okay? You're making them understand and have more self-esteem within themselves, because some of these people, they don't have two parents, they have one, okay? Some of them, they lost their mom, or they lost their dad, or they lost a close friend, That's why the suicide rate among young people is so high now, because there are young people out there who are confused, okay?
Yeah, there's a lot of people with potential and they just don't have the push or the drive or anything, or people around them to support them through it or something like that.
They don't have a plan. And you have to show people how to develop a plan for where they want to go in their life, especially between the next 2 to 5 years. If you ask a person, what do you think, where you want to be 5 years from now? 50, 60, 70% of the people, they can't answer that question because they don't know. They don't even have a clue. They haven't even thought about it. You already have the ability, you've been through that, and you know what you knew what you wanted to do.
We've been here for a while. I think we'll do one more question and we'll get out of here. But that question is there anything that you regret with how I was raised?
No, I don't have any regrets, because from what I see where you are now in your life and the things that you've been through to get here to this level, you needed to go through it to understand yourself, who you are, your purpose for being here on this earth. Everybody has a purpose. The sooner you find out your purpose, the easier it is for you to continue your life and go on and achieve things and help people. It's not about the money, because if you help people, believe me, you will be compensated for it. It's just, it's about making sure the people you meet do not go down the wrong road.
And so that's, I guess, the flip side. There's the unfortunate aspect, you get sick, all these things happen, you go through all these things. But on the fortunate side, I guess you experience a lot more of life in a very condensed version of it, so that I'm not wasting a decade thinking about the same lessons. So now it all got packed into a couple of years. I'm already back on my feet, and now I can already start sharing with other people.
Yeah, and believe me, the people you share with, they really appreciate it, okay? They really appreciate it. Because some of the people that you've reached out to or seen your YouTube video, especially when you were sick, man, do you know some of the people on the other side of that camera or the other side of that video were crying? They were crying for themselves because they saw themselves in you. And that's the thing. That's the most powerful thing in the world. When a person can see themselves through the things that you went through. That's one of the reasons God died on the cross, so that people wouldn't have to go through the suffering and everything that he had to go through. Because if you see someone suffering, you go, oh no, I don't want to do that. You change your ways and you become a better person. And you've become a better person.
Yeah.
You have, and you know that.
But now it's just all about sharing, but there's still time. I'm young.
Yeah.
And so now there's not even a rush for anything.
There's still time, man. You got decades left. You have to consider yourself, I wouldn't even consider leaving this earth until after 80, 85, 90 years old. That should be your goal.
I'm trying to get to 100 still.
If you get to 100, you're good.
But I want to be healthy.
That's my goal. I want to get to 100.
I
want to be healthy also,
but yeah, I think that's it. That's all the questions. We can do this again sometime.
Yeah.
But it's a lot, yeah.